Hello, Rams fans. Welcome into another episode of the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated. I'm your host, Tom Cavanaugh. Today is Thursday, November 14th, 2024, and we're going to get into a few things regarding this upcoming Week 11 matchup for the Rams taking on a struggling New England Patriots team. We're here from the Fans First Sports Network. You can follow myself, Tom Cavanaugh, at TCav30 on Twitter/X. And then to follow our insider pages with all of our breaking news and stories posted, head over to Facebook and Twitter/X and follow us at Rams Insider on SI, or just type into your search bar Los Angeles Rams on SI to get all of our stories from all of our great writers. We're going to start on the injury side of things here for the Rams. It's going to pertain to the offensive line. Coming out of camp a couple days ago, head coach Sean McVay, he weighed in on captain, starter, veteran Rob Havenstein, a guy that had an ankle injury in week 2, kind of re-injured that ankle against the Seahawks in week 9. He did not play against the Dolphins a week ago and could be questionable for this week. McVay was quoted saying probably less likely than likely that he does play this week, as they're having him as a limited participant in practice, kind of just taking it day to day currently. But this is huge for the Rams. I mean, they got back some of their offensive line last week in Steve Avila, Jonah Jackson, Joe Noteboom, who we'll get to in a minute. He's also kind of banged up, but they get a few guys back, and it starts to look a little better for them when it comes to protection for quarterback Matthew Stafford, but that was not the case. They gave up 4 sacks against the Dolphins defense, a pretty solid Dolphins defense at that. And it's going to be no different this week in the Patriots. New England's coming off a 9-sack performance against the Chicago Bears, and they're going to look to do the same exact thing. And if Havenstein isn't on the field, I mean, that definitely hurts the Rams. He's a big pivotal piece on that front four. Just mentioned Joe Noteboom. He is also questionable to play this week. He also has an ankle injury. The 7th-year veteran, as well as Havenstein, both those guys have been in the league a while. Just kind of struggling through some injuries midway through the season, as are a lot of players, but specifically offensive and defensive linemen, especially around those high ankle sprains, any ligaments on the lower half. That's usually where they get injured. And, I mean, those are 2 guys that really, really need to be able to play. So Noteboom, he filled in for Havenstein last week. And if neither one of those guys can go, it's going to be Warren McClendon. He's a 2nd-year tackle. He's going to have to fill that role nicely. He's played in 8 games this year, limited snaps for McClendon, but you'd really like to see the starters out there. Now, Warren McClendon might be able to get it done and be serviceable in that spot, but when one of your offensive linemen's a captain and Rob Havenstein, you know that he's a darn good player and he's going to give you his best stuff when he's on the field. It's unfortunate if he doesn't play, Noteboom or Havenstein, but those are 2 top blockers that are really going to help out this offensive line to be better than last week. On the other side of the football, it's going to be the Rams defense that has to come up big. We mentioned in yesterday's podcast that the Patriots allowed 32 sacks this season through their 10 games. And that's a pretty high total. So when you look at this Rams defense, there's 4 guys I really want to hit on that are within their first 2 years of playing professional football. You got rookies Jared Verse, the linebacker, defensive lineman Braden Fisk, both coming out of Florida State. And then you have 2 second-year guys in Kobe Turner and Byron Young, both of them with 5 sacks apiece to lead the team. All 4 of those guys account for 17.5 of the 24 sacks that the Rams have this season. So if they want to have a good game, get pressure on rookie quarterback Drake May of the Pats, those 4 need to come up big. Turner, he was one of the bright spots in last week's loss to the Dolphins. Byron Young continues to impress. And then obviously, I mean, if you've seen anything on social media or on any of our sites, Jared Verse and Braden Fisk are 2 major defensive steals of this last draft. So if those guys can put together a performance, I'm going to predict 4 to 5 sacks for this Rams defense on May, just because this Patriots offensive line has not been great this season. And with May kind of trusting a little bit more, I mean, he can run a little bit. He's the 3rd highest rusher on the team. But, I mean, there's still speed coming from guys like Fisk, Byron Young, Turner, and Verse. So They'll be able to chase him down. I see 4, probably 5 sacks on the day, and they're going to be in big spots. I mean, you'll have a third and mid, third and long in a crucial spot. Maybe a sack takes the Patriots out of field goal range in a tight ball game in the first half. Maybe another one comes when May scrambles towards the sideline on a 4th down play. They turn it over as he is sacked, or maybe even a strip sack, much like Verse did to Tua Tagovailoa last week. So that's a big piece for the Rams' success, trying to bounce back to 500, claw back in the divisional race, and try to sneak in to a playoff spot. One cool storyline that I kind of want to mention here is Sean McVay. He's going to be traveling to Foxborough, Massachusetts as a head coach for the first time in his career. This is not a matchup between the Rams and the Patriots that is had very often. The last time these two teams squared up was back in 2020. The Rams got the best of them. And the time before that was the 2018 Super Bowl between the Rams and the Patriots. New England got the best of that. Tom Brady won his 6th ring. And McVay's looking for a little get back from that one. He got it in 2020 at SoFi Stadium. But going to Foxborough is a different animal. I mean, that place can get ruckus just because of the historical success they've had in their dynasty days with Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, all the rest of those guys that most to all NFL fans know about. The Patriots might be having a down year or several down years, but I mean, their fans are still rowdy, and it's going to be an incredible atmosphere. Plus, playing at Gillette is pretty awesome. I mean, that stadium is beautiful, and whenever the Patriots have a home game, it's always an advantage for them. Although the Patriots, I mean, looking at their schedule, they're 1-4 at home this season. So it's a get right spot for them just to kind of win one at home, taking on this Rams team that's bouncing off a really bad loss. And the Patriots have been playing better late, winners of 2 of their last 3. Drake May has looked better in the pocket. I mean, he threw for over 200 yards in a loss to the Titans. Somehow came out with a 19-3 win over the Bears, mostly because of the 9 sacks. The Bears were never able to get anything going offensively. But this should be a great matchup. McVay is excited to get back to Gillette. And the last time he was there was an offensive coordinator for the Washington Redskins under head coach Mike Shanahan. He mentioned Tom Brady walking out to HOV by Jay-Z and kind of the atmosphere that was brought back in the days when Tom Brady was commanding that Patriots offense. So he's got fond memories, but he's trying to turn them into his own here and get back after that Super Bowl loss to the Pats 6 years ago. Sorry. And also Matthew Stafford. He hasn't played in Foxborough since 2014. It's been a decade since Stafford has been back there. And he talked about it, mentioning his time with the Detroit Lions. They played the Patriots there back 10 years ago. A brutal loss for the Lions. They actually finished with their best record with Stafford at quarterback at 11-5 that year. Made the playoffs, lost to the Dallas Cowboys, but I mean, he just kind of mentioned what that stadium brings, the atmosphere, the ruckus crowd, and then also, obviously, the scheme and the talent that the Patriots had at that time. It's going to be a completely different group, but one guy that did play on that team that knows Stafford is head coach Gerard Mayo for the Patriots. He was a member of that defense, won multiple Super Bowls, was a multi-time Pro Bowler. And if anybody has the competitive edge to know what Stafford's tendencies are at quarterback, it's going to be a former player that studied the film and had to work through on the field instead of on the sideline, like many other coaches had to throughout Stafford's career and continuing to play him now. So the Rams looking for a big win. We're going to have more coverage tomorrow on a Friday, kind of breaking down a few other things, looking at some more keys to the game for this Rams team to be able to get it done, return to 500, and try to get back in the playoff race. This has been the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated with your host, Tom Cavanaugh. Once again, follow me at TCAV30 on Twitter/X and go over to Los Angeles Rams on SI in your search bar to find all of our great content. Until tomorrow, everybody, we'll see you again. Thanks so much for listening.